Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Friday, the 24th of September, as we look ahead to tomorrow's game at Dens Park against Dundee. We'll react to last night's cup draw, but before all that, we'll talk about Super Ali. Of course, it's his 59th birthday today. Joining me this morning is Jonny McFarlane. Johnny, how are we doing this Friday morning?
Great, a little bit cobwebby this morning, mate. I was told by a pal that the new Sopranos movie came out yesterday. I've been so busy I wasn't even aware of this, despite being a huge Sopranos fan. So I made the pilgrimage to the Showcase Cinema in Coatbridge last night, which is quite a bit away from me because it was the only one that had a show in it about 10:45 last night. So I rocked home about 1:30, so bright and breezy and a little bit tired, but we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Yeah, get that coffee, don't you? Good morning to Owen and Billy getting in touch this morning. As always, Billy's actually going to see the film today, Johnny, so no spoilers, please.
Yeah, it's very good, Billy. You'll enjoy it.
Excellent stuff. Right, let's talk Super Ali, first of all, Johnny, because the great man is 59 today, arguably Rangers' greatest ever goal scorer. We've got a piece up on the website. I've spoke to 6 players who came up against him. It's very good. I'd urge you to go and check it out. But Super Ali, 59 today.
Yeah, that makes me feel a little old, to be honest, Derek. I mean, Ali, anyone who grew up watching Rangers in the 80s and 90s, I think has a real... soft spot is probably underplaying it. You know, Ali McCoist was just an absolute god. 355 goals for Rangers, and not just a goal scorer, you know, an incredible force of nature, personality as a player whose love for the club just shone through. His emotion when he scored goals, his goal celebrations, just absolutely outstanding to see, and so many goals. I think it was 27 goals off the top of my head against Celtic, which I think is a record. And, 59, I hope he's having a fantastic day somewhere. And your piece, Derek, is, a terrific walk down memory lane. Some really, really funny stories. I thought John Hughes in particular was cracking up at some of the stuff he was coming out with about Ali and the battles they shared over the years. So I think anyone who's looking for a good read with a cup of coffee this morning should go and seek that out, facing Ali McCoist, because, there's so much to get your teeth into with that one, and what a player he was, Derek. I mean, you'll remember him as well.
Yeah, it's cracking. I've managed to get a broad range of different views. So we've got John Newsom on there. He played against him for Leeds United, of course, in that famous Battle of Britain. Ramon Vega, who was part of the Switzerland side when he scored that beauty at Euro 96, and some goalkeepers in there as well. So I'd urge you to go and check it out. Keith says, happy birthday, Super Ali, as well. And Thomas also mentioning that as well. Okay, let's have a little scan. We'll look at last night's draw, first of all, before we look ahead to Dundee, Johnny. Hibs in the semi-final of the Premier Sports Cup, as it's now called. Your reaction to the draw? They had a good win last night, of course, against Dundee United.
Yeah, well, that's the best draw, I would say, because it's probably, in a cup sense, the weakest of the 4 teams, to be honest. Although Hibs have been enjoying a good season and certainly have some dangerous players, but St Johnstone you just don't want to face them, do you, really, in a cup? They're just an absolute nightmare to play against. Certainly on paper, St Johnstone are the weakest side, but they just don't hold any prisoners, and have a really, really good mentality when it comes to knockout games. I think Celtic, that's going to be a good game. That's going to be a really good game and a real test of Ange Postecoglou.
Yeah.
Semi-final against Hibs. Jack Ross is a pragmatist. You know, he'll try and do what he can to hit Rangers on the break. They've got great pace up top, especially Martin Boyle. And obviously Kevin Nisbet is a player of quality. So Rangers will have to be careful of that one, and they'll have to go into it with an absolute positive mentality, because we know that Gerrard hasn't had a good record in these cup competitions. They have to be absolutely on their game and get to that final, because anything less will be an abject failure, and questions will be asked. And that's the pressure they're under, in these cups, because their form has been so poor over the last 3 seasons. And it's about time that we saw Rangers in more cup finals, and hopefully that'll happen this season.
Yeah, it was interesting hearing Gary McAllister's comments prior to the game against Livingston and afterwards as well. He really stressed the importance that they're placing on the cup competitions. I think they know that the performances have been below par, to say the least, in the last few years, Johnny, haven't, and they really need to add a bit of silverware in one of the cups this season, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you look last season, St Mirren and St Johnstone, two kind of really difficult results. I mean, particularly St Johnstone one, because Rangers were playing particularly well at that point. It was towards the end of the season when everything was clicking in terms of results. They were just churning out victory after victory. Okay, they maybe weren't playing at the time with the kind of free-flowing quality that marked the early games of the season, but they just weren't losing games. So to go to St Johnstone and struggle all throughout that game, and then have James Tavernier come up with a header with, a minute or 2 minutes to go in extra time, you thought, wow, here they go again. What a machine this team are. Yeah. And then whatever happened at the end of that. A just truly bizarre moment with the big keeper coming up and Xander Clark and managing to get his head on it. And before you know it, it's 1-1. And at that point, I'm a great believer in, especially around things like penalty shootouts, which are, and there's an element of a lottery to them. I feel that if you're going in with that momentum of having equalised, it's a huge psychological advantage. And I don't know about you, Derek, but at that game, I just felt Rangers are going to go out here because St Johnstone are not going to lose this penalty shootout. They've just been pulled back from the dead. Yeah,
I had that feel about it, I have to say. Keith makes a good point here. Hibs are the hardest team to play. The games against them last season were all hard, and going by their league standings as well, they've started off well under Jack Ross, so they can't be underestimated. And of course, Hampden as well, Johnny. The record there isn't good in recent seasons, so they'll have to get over that as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, listen, I'm not trying to do down Hibs. Far from it. I mean, you look at their start in terms of the Scottish Premiership. There's no doubt they are a good side in the context of this league. They're 1 point behind Rangers, not lost a game, scored more goals, and only conceded one more. So there's no doubt Jack Ross is built on solid foundations this season, and he's got good players there. Rangers would take Josh Doig, believe me. Rangers would take Kevin Nisbet. Even Martin Boyle would be someone that would probably do a good job for the squad. So they're good players that can hurt the team. However, my point is just that Celtic you'd want to keep for the final, and St Johnstone are just a really, really difficult proposition in cup games. They won the cup double last year, so that's my point. None of these games are easy.
Yeah. I think they're a different proposition this year, St Johnstone, but I do get your point.
I have to laugh at James Skeen there.
What's he saying?
I must admit, I thought Celtic would have been easier to the semi-finals.
Well, you just never know. They would be playing away, of course. So their away record isn't the best under Ange Postecoglou. Let's have a look at tomorrow then, Johnny. Good to see Rangers back playing on a Saturday. They're up at Dundee. Dundee, of course, propping up the SPFL Premiership table at the moment. They've not had the best of starts under James McPake. On paper, it's one of those where you're expecting Rangers to go up there and do a professional job and come back down the road with 3 points, but you can bet your bottom dollar that they'll be up for this.
Yeah, I mean, especially after losing that quarter-final to a rival, on their own pitch, they'll be desperate to go back out and show what they can do. I mean, Dundee, they need to start scoring goals. They're bottom of the league. They've got firepower there. Jason Cummins, I think everyone knows, is a good finisher. His career has taken a real bad nosedive since he left Ibrox. But I've always thought there was a very talented player in there. Lee Griffiths, I mean, if he can refine his form, if he can get fit, I think we know that he'll hit the back of the net. And then, Killian Sheridan is a good sort of physical target man. So they've got good options, but they just seem to be creating chances and failing to score. I think Rangers should go up there, grass pitch, and perform the way we hope they can. In the last two games, we've seen 45 minutes of excellence followed by 45 minutes of sort of tedium in the first game, in the previous two games, and then it was reversed for the last game. So we've had 90 minutes in the last 180 that have been excellent. You just got to hope that Rangers can put that together against Dundee, start to really find their form. And listen, I think Stevie Clifford's talking about this in his column today. Rangers are top of the league and in the semi-final of the Cup without having clicked this season. Everyone says they've been poor in comparison to what they were doing last year. So when they click, if they click, it's going to be a real sore one for somebody to take. And maybe that's going to be Dundee at the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. One of our own columnists, Adam Thornton, made an office reference there. Do you think there'll ever be a boy born who can swim faster than a shark? Not too sure on that one. I'll get back to you, Adam, on that one. A lot of questions coming in on the chat here. Robert says, he sort of sums up your point, Johnny. Rangers need to start churning out 90-minute performances. And like what you touched on with Stevie Clifford's piece, they have been in second gear. They haven't hit top form yet. We keep saying, wait till they hit top form. We're now in, Jesus, we're nearly in October now, aren't we? So it comes at points where you're thinking, are they going to hit that form? I know they've been disrupted and what have you, but are we asking too much of a repeat of last season's performances? Was that just a one-off?
I think we're seeing tentative green shoots in the last two games in terms of the attacking performances, Derek. I wouldn't get carried away, and I wouldn't be shocked if there's a draw at Dundee or a really, really horrible to watch, dull 1-0 win for Rangers. But at the same time, if you're looking at the last 180 minutes of action, there's plenty there to get your teeth into if you're looking for positives. And I just feel that we've now reached a stage where most of the big players are coming back. You know, hopefully we'll get Ryan Jack back at some point in the next couple of months. That's going to be a big boost. It's going to be like a new player. I know it's true in that midfield.
Yeah.
Janino Bacuna looked tasty when he came on. We've all seen that pass. Allen-esque is how I would describe it. You know, it was absolutely sensational, that pass from
should we win an end of season award just for that, I think?
Well, it was a thing of beauty.
Allen Award.
And you know, he's hit that with almost no backlift whatsoever, and it's so pinpoint accurate. If you want to see it, go to @Pena Cartel, I think is the Twitter handle. He's just clipped up the pass. It's magnificent. So that shows you the boy has severe chops when it comes to finding a ball. So if he can come in and show that kind of quality, then that'll be a big boost for Rangers as well.
Yeah, he done a little thing I noticed as well, Bacuna. It never came off, but it was like a little drag back as well. And I thought, oof, this boy's got some serious skill about him. But it's just getting the end product. And I'm sure that Stephen Gerrard and the coaching staff will be trying to drill that into him. That's for sure. I mean, we'll just touch on Ianis Hagi. I think we've covered him in great detail. You'd imagine he would start tomorrow, given his performance in midweek.
Yeah, 100%. He's got to start, hasn't he, after that? He completely, I think I wrote that he electrified Rangers, and that was absolutely what happened. From the minute he came on, the team just looked completely different. It looked to have a completely different energy about it, a completely different sort of intent about it. And
he seemed to lift all his teammates as well. I think they all got a lift when he came on.
The thing about Hagi was the minute he came on, he was darting into space. He was moving with a real purpose. And I'm not saying that Scott Wright doesn't run about. Of course he does. But Hagi was just constantly, intelligently stretching the defence and pulling them around, the Livingston guys. And it made the difference immediately.
Yeah, see, touching on Scott Wright, Johnny, I was talking when I was at Ibrox on Wednesday, it was about him being an impact player now, much like maybe perhaps a Nacho Novo. I mean, he's nowhere near the level of what Nacho Novo was for me. Is he now that impact player? To me, he's not taking his chance in the last few appearances. He just went off the boil slightly.
Yeah, listen, you've got to do better than Scott Wright's doing at the moment if you want to be a Rangers first teamer. It's as simple as that. he's threatening to become a good Rangers player, but there's only so long you can threaten for until you're sort of put to one side at Ibrox. It's just as simple as that. You need to go out and produce. And for Scott Wright, that means numbers in terms of goals and assists. I thought his performance for the first 45 minutes was very, very Scott Wright. You know, he looked like he could maybe just about pull something off, but wasn't quite doing it. There was a great wee reverse pass, I think, that released Nathan Patterson at one point. There was a few nice touches, few nice turns, but ultimately flattered to deceive, and that's why I think he was probably pulled off after 45 minutes, unless there was an injury that we don't know about. I suspect it was a tactical decision based on his performance.
Yeah.
But he's got to provide more. And listen, he's got time. I think he's on a long-term contract. He's someone that has quality. There's no doubt about that. He is a project player, and he will get better over time. But if he wants to break into this side, where he's got players of Hedge's quality, of Kent's quality in front of him, he has to improve. It's as simple as that, and he'll know that himself, and the management team will be telling him that.
Yeah, there's a good point. This actually brings me on rather nicely from Thomas. There was a ball, the Goldson's diagonal to him that released him in on goal was absolute pinpoint. And thinking back there, Defoe would have burst the net there with that opportunity. He would have controlled it and strolled it past stride check. So that leads me on. Thomas says, what about Defoe? Will he get a game soon, guys? We've not seen him even on the bench, Johnny.
Well, Defoe probably wouldn't have even broke stride, because we saw last season what happens when
Livingston.
He gets on the end of balls like that. Literally one touch and that's a goal. But yeah, I think Defoe is probably going to be a player that doesn't have as many opportunities this season as he even did last season. He didn't get an awful lot. Because, you know, ultimately Fashion Sakala's come in there. They've still got Morelos. I know Itten's gone, but then you've got Roof in there as well. So I think it'll depend on injuries. If Roof has moments when he breaks down, and listen, the last 4 or 5 years have shown us that's likely, then I think Defoe will come into the picture, especially for games at Ibrox against weaker opposition in the Scottish Premiership. And I'm sure he'll do a good job. But they have to be careful, because he needs to remain fit. He needs to remain sharp. So they'll have to make sure they use him to some extent. But I think it's clear that Defoe is going down a more coaching path in terms of his Rangers career now. I don't think his minutes will be even as significant as they were last time.
Yeah, we'll just finish up. Ross has got in touch. He says he always thought Ryan Hedges was Aberdeen's best player. Funnily enough, is available in a pre-contract in January. Don't know if he's what we need, but could be a good sub and backup. For me, Rangers don't need backup and subs. They need players that are going to improve the first team. Ryan Hedges, he's looked decent when I've seen him, but again, joining Rangers from Aberdeen, you need to be exceptional at Aberdeen to get a game for Rangers. For me, Johnny, I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, I think Ryan Hedges for me is a good player, is a skillful player, is a player that has the potential to be better than he's shown at the moment in a better team.
Yeah.
However, I think out of the two, Scott Wright is a better player.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that he's on the fringes of things, in and out. So I don't think he's what Rangers need. I totally agree with you, Derek. What going forwards, I think the recruitment team at Ibrox have to look at is finding a player who is a bona fide starter.
Yes.
Now, wherever that's going to be, whether that be central defence, whether it be central midfield, whether it be up top, that's going to be a huge challenge, because, to be honest, the money Rangers have available is very difficult to find a player that's going to improve that squad immediately and not need a bedding in period where they get used to the system. Have to be a bloody good player.
Yeah.
You know, if you wanted to come and get Glenn Kamara, how much would you have to pay? 10, 11, 12 million?
Easy.
If Stephen Davis wasn't 36, how much would you have to pay? More than that. If he was 25, he'd be worth 20 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you go to the right-hand side and you're talking about a Ryan Jack, a lot of money as well. So that's just the midfield. You know, we know all through the pitch, Rangers have got, severe quality. So I just think it's time now to go and, if you're going to spend big on one or two. Don't bring in squad players. I think We've seen that's not really going to be the way forward now. Rangers have got a huge squad, and I don't think they need more depth.
Yeah, totally agree. Okay, that'll do us there. Thanks to everyone getting in touch as ever. There's plenty of great content on the Rangers Review website, as we mentioned. That piece on Ali McCoist is also, as we mentioned, Stevie Clifford's article as well. And we've got a big preview ahead of tomorrow's game against Dundee. Remember to subscribe to the Rangers Review now. It's just £2.99 a month and support top quality journalism covering the club you love. We'll be back on Monday, but enjoy your weekend, guys.